Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the fourth episode of Friend Seekers Anonymous.
I'm Cash.
And I'm Finn.
And we're so excited to talk to you guys this week because we've been getting a lot of feedback on our first two episodes. And some people have been telling us that they've never heard of Bumble BFF and they're inspired to download it and go on some friendly dates of their own. So we are just so pumped that some of you guys are really going out of your comfort zone and giving it a shot because that's really why we're here.
Yeah, we absolutely love hearing from you guys. And we're so glad to hear that you're being emboldened and getting out there and building community of your own.
Also, special shout out to Jessica for giving us another idea for a new pod that we're going to hopefully film in January.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're just super excited to be given some food for thought of our own. And whatever you guys might want us to go and try out and report back, please let us know. Comment on our Spotify page or our YouTube, or just go ahead and DM us on TikTok or Instagram, and we will flesh out your ideas and see how it goes.
We surely will. We're always down to try out new stuff or talk about things that you think are important to get talked about. We just love hearing from you guys.
Yep. So this week, we are going to hone in a little bit on not only building connections with new people through Bumble or whatever it is that you're trying out, but then also how to determine when a friend connection is maybe not the perfect fit. It doesn't have a good prospect of longevity, and how to go about friend breakups, which are really hard.
Yeah, we know friend breakups can be pretty controversial, but it's a really important part of the process because when you're building community and meeting new people, not everyone is going to be a perfect fit. And honestly, putting an end to or cutting off some of the connections that just aren't right for you, leaves you space for better connections and makes sure that you have energy and you don't get burned out or anything. So we wanted to cover it.
Yep, it's a necessary evil, and best believe we have had to do plenty of them ourselves, and it sucks. It always sucks, but like Finn said, honestly, whatever time that you're giving to the people that don't bring any positives to your life or maybe just are not on your level, that is energy that you can give to the other people that are going to be that for you.
Yeah, 100%. And honestly, we think we've learned a few things because we've both gone through some sticky friend breakups, but we think we've sort of refined the process a little bit.
I think we refined it a little bit. It's still a work in progress, and for you guys out there who are going to end up trying some of this out, it's going to be an experience.
It surely will. Hopefully a relatively painless one. So
let's just dive in.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Okay, so let me ask you, if we're talking about telltale signs of somebody not being the best fit, what would you say those are for you? And let's just focus in on people that you've maybe only hung out with 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah, so telltale signs that an early stages friend connection isn't going to work out.
Yep.
I think this is a really good question and really tricky for some people because obviously when you go out on a friend date, you want to find that immediate bestie pop spark, but that's not always going to happen.
Every time you say bestie pop, I'm like,
I hate you.
Side note, she got me saying bestie pop and girly pop very early on, and I thought it was so cringe. I was like, Finley, can you please stop?
No.
Then I thought it was funny, and then I started using it.
You need to embrace the cringe.
It was sarcastic at first, and now I love it.
That's how I feel about it, actually.
Oh, God. Okay, wait, let me see.
Okay, so I think you want to find that immediate spark with somebody right off the bat, but that's not always going to happen. And it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a bad friendship. Some friendships grow. I think for me, right off the bat, if I meet up with somebody and the first date can have some awkward silences or you're finding your rhythm. But if it's just dead silent such that I feel like I need to start giving a TED talk or monologuing, we're in some trouble. Also, I don't know if this applies to all of you guys, but I can be a little bit introverted sometimes. So social connection definitely takes some energy. And I find that if I hang out with somebody and then right after I'm bone tired, I'm just exhausted and I'm nobody talked to me for a week, that's a sign that it's not the moment.
100%. Because, yeah, I feel like, I mean, we both talked about how we've gone through periods of feeling introverted, but I do think everybody has that extroverted spirit deep down. You just have to find the people that bring it out. And so, like you said, like if you go out and hang out with somebody and you are just exhausted by the end, they might be an exhausting energy to have around you.
Yeah.
And, when I first started going on dates, like I ended up feeling super insecure after a few of them because I'm just like, I feel like they were not interested. They're not following up with me quickly after. They just didn't seem very engaged. And I'm not gonna lie, like there's some people that might just be like that in the beginning because they're slow to open up and, maybe this is a new experience for them too. But I feel like it is a telltale sign of maybe not the best friend chemistry.
I think it's actually honestly a lot like dating, like a great sign that even if there's not like an immediate spark, even if you're like, I'm not sure about this person, a really promising sign can be if they're like really actively pursuing you and being like super open and also making time for you. Time is super important. Like if you're starting off with somebody and they're telling you, this happened to me a couple of times. Like I went out with a few girls who the vibe was great and I was like, oh, that was really fun. But then I don't think I ever told you about this. There was one girl who I went out with and we went out and it was fine. It was good, whatever. And then like halfway in, she starts like telling me how busy she is. And she's like, yeah, I keep going on these Bumble dates with like girls and I really like them, but I'm just so busy. I can't see people for like weeks on end. And I was like,
God, red flag.
Like, why are you telling me this?
Oh, yeah.
What do you want me to make of this? And so I was like, okay, I don't think that this friend connection is for me because frankly, I want friends who can see me more than like once every 2 months.
Did you say that to her or how did you approach that? I'm actually so curious.
I actually, you know what? I didn't say it to her, but I cut off the date pretty short. Like I didn't spend that long there. I was kind of just like, oh, I gotta go now. And then after the fact, I didn't send a follow-up text, which, by the way, is if you're really vibing with somebody, like every time I get a follow-up text, I always feel really special.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's like dating. It's like if I go on a date and then I never hear from you, I'm like, okay, you hate me.
Literally.
I'm ugly and we'll never speak again.
But I didn't send her a follow-up text. And then she rolled back in about a month later, pretty much on schedule.
She was like, hey man, I told you.
And I was like, and I think that this is something that you can use if you feel awkward being like, no, thank you.
Sorry, this is not a love connection. And we're really going to need to take some space.
But I just went with like a very tasteful.
Give me that taste.
A very tasteful like, hey, honestly, I don't know if I think she asked me to like dinner or something. It honestly sounds so much like dating every time you talk about it.
Low key.
But she asked me to dinner and I was like, honestly, like I'm really swamped right now. Like stuff with work is just picking up, so I don't know if I'll have time in the next couple of weeks. And when you're in early stages, honestly, if you just tell somebody you're busy, they'll either be like, okay, they're busy, I don't want to be friends with them, or they'll get the hint.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's any need to like tell somebody, especially early on, that you don't want to be their friend. Like it's needlessly hurtful.
Agreed.
It's just an ouch.
Yes. I think a good way to approach it is just say like, I'm going to be honest, like I don't have a lot of free time coming up. So I'll like circle back when I have like a free week and like, I hope you're doing good.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Even that sounds harsh, but I'm not going to lie. Like I would take that well. I think.
Take it well. And I'd know what they were saying, but I'd also be appreciative that they weren't like, you're fucking boring and I don't want to be your friend.
And maybe in that case, like, don't have them on social media if possible, because, if you say that you're not free and then you're out every day with your other friends, they might end up feeling hurt. I mean, at the end of the day, if you feel like unfollowing them might be like more of a stab, you can keep them on there. But yeah, I would say just say that you're busy and you don't have a lot of free time, and it was really, really nice meeting you.
Yeah, like we're not promoting lying, but I also think that when it comes to friend dating, and this is one of the places I think that like friend dating differs from real dating. You don't necessarily need to tell people when it wasn't like a vibe for you.
Also because we're not dating at the end of the day.
Yeah.
We're just friends. And so I would hope most people that you're connecting with are on their own journey. They're meeting other people. If they're using these apps, they probably are meeting other people a lot, hopefully. And so, you know, you're not going to end their experience on this app just by not being a good fit. If you're not feeling super comfortable after the first 2 or 3 hangouts, I'd say 2 or 3, that's safe. You've given them a chance, but it's just probably not the best thing. And I struggled with trying to give people more time with that in the beginning because I was just like, okay, well, like I can't expect people to just be so open with me immediately. And so I'm just gonna see how it goes. And I'm gonna hope that it gets better over time. But then that ended up leading to like relationships where they think we're super close. And I've actually never felt that way. And I'm still waiting for it to feel that way. And it's just not getting there. And then I ended up having to do friend breakups that, you know, we're a month or 2 later, and then they're really like, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like honestly something that people should like really think about because in early stages, I will say, I think that's one of the things I'm a little bit better at than you. Like in early stages, friend breakup, it can feel really hard, especially when you're looking for friends because you want to take that mentality of like a friendship can grow from anywhere. But if you get yourself like 3-4 months in with somebody, then you're looking at like an actual friend breakup.
Yeah.
Rather than
and
just like
be really painful for the other person. Also, let me just say throughout this entire conversation this week, I really want to stress that if you can avoid ghosting people, that I think is the nicest approach you can take because I will say I have ghosted some friends that I met here in LA and I'm not gonna lie, I still feel shitty about it. Like I still feel like I definitely could have handled that better and like I wonder if that person is still feeling hurt over that and I don't want to be the cause of any of that hurt. And so honestly, I would say if you're 2 to 3 dates in, you're not feeling it, just distance yourself, say that you're busy.
I think another good thing to like a test for in early stages, if you're not feeling that immediate spark, but you think there might be some potential, is just seeing if you like genuinely have stuff in common. Like I went out on a Bumble date. I was Bumble dating one girl. It sounds like I'm actually dating. I was like 2 or 3 friend dates in with this one girl who was like a pretty nice person, and she was like very genuine, and I still have like no beef with her, but we decided to spend this whole day together in Malibu, and so we went to a museum together, which by the way I think that's a great friend date idea. Museums, art museums hit any kind of museum actually.
Because also if you're like a creative person, I think it's very good information to know whether you are a walkthrough person who wants to just get an Instagram photo or if you actually want to read about the art and talk about it and connect with.
I see. Okay. I don't know if anybody actually, we should have all of you guys say in the comments like what kind of museum person you are because I'm actually very curious. I know a few people who like actually like to read and also a few Instagrammers. Most of the people I know and myself, I just like to go through really fast. Like I like the art, I want to appreciate it, but I feel like I've appreciated painting in like 5 seconds.
Yep.
I have to look and go.
I am the opposite type of person. I'm like, bro, if I paid for it, I want to hang out and I want to read about it and I want to talk about it.
I'm just bored. It's a picture. I saw it. Like it's pretty.
And this is why you're not an artiste.
What?
But let me just say, I mean, either side of the coin is fine. Yeah. But maybe don't take the other type of person to that.
I will say maybe I would still be Bumble friends with this girl. So we went to this museum and she was like a reader. Like we were looking at
my God, I love her so much already.
You know what? I'll give you her number.
You should.
But she was like reading everything and I was honestly just like, I want to hang out. Like I want to talk. And she was just reading. So I was like, do. And then, and it was just like, it was fine. There was nothing wrong. It was just like, we're not really like, we're not, this experience is fun, but we're not sharing the same fun parts of it. Like, you're enjoying a different thing that I'm enjoying, and we can't really connect about it.
That's a good conversation to have beforehand if you're going to take somebody to a museum. Be like, okay, let's get down to brass tacks here. Are you a reader or are you a looker?
But then it got better. Then I think we got lunch somewhere, and then we were just driving along the coast, and she was randomly like, she saw this like beach volleyball court, and she pulled over and she was like, do you want to play beach volleyball? And internally I was like, no, I really, really don't.
That sounds really fun. I'd kind of love
her. Smack you.
I'm not gonna lie, I'd be like, Slay, let's pull up.
But I was trying to, like, I wanted her to like me, and I wanted to be like cool and whatever. So I was like, fine, I'll play beach volleyball. And I was in this like ridiculous little like jean skirt that I definitely couldn't play.
Fair. I wouldn't have wanted to know that.
Also, side note, Loki, I think I gave her the ick because she was actually like really sporty and good at volleyball, and I was like fucking terrible. I kept missing.
You should have just blamed it all on the jean skirt.
I should have been like, I can't just
be like, my booty is constricted. I can't move properly.
So I was just like suffering through this like one-on-one volleyball tournament for an hour and a half until finally I think she gave up on me.
An hour and a half, that's wild.
She was like playing like legit. She was an athlete.
Oh wow. Okay.
But then we like stopped and we like went our separate ways and whatever. And honestly, nothing bad happened. It was just like, I think it was just the day that we realized we just didn't have much in common at all. And we kind of naturally like fell off after that. But I think that's an important thing to pay attention to, because I think that she kind of wanted to keep hanging out and I kind of wanted to keep hanging out because we were both like, we want friends. Like, you want a friend, I want a friend.
Yep.
But sometimes it just doesn't work. And I wound up feeling kind of tired and a little bit like more lonely after that date. And so I was like, okay, I just need to go back to the search because this just isn't my person.
Yeah, 100%. And I think like that's a really good story that embodies the fact that you can like somebody and maybe not want to be their friend.
Yeah.
And that's totally fine.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I've had quite a few experiences like that. Like this one girl that I hung out with for like over a month. Like we really vibed in the beginning and like it was easy conversation, but also it was because I was kind of on my interviewer type shit where I was just like asking a bunch of questions and she loved that. But then when the beginning kind of excitement petered out a little bit, then we were like doing some activities together where I'm just like, oh, we maybe don't like the same things and that's okay. And she actually we went on a full day excursion to the desert one day and she brought one of
the desert.
Yes, it was a full day. I feel like honestly, the theme that I'm hearing is when you spend a full day with somebody, you know.
Maybe that should actually be our advice. If you're not sure about somebody, spend a full day with them. Either by the end you love them or it's donezo.
Fair enough. Because this was the first day that I'd ever spent that much time with her. And she brought one of her other friends. And I was excited to meet her because she was also on Bumble. And so we go off together. We're listening to music. We're chit-chatting on the way. Like, it was super, super fun. And then we, like, get to where we were going. We were going for this little, like, sound bath thing out in Joshua Tree. I can't remember where it's at, but there's this famous little dome where you go and sound bathe. And it's very nice. So we went and did that. But then towards the end of it, like, we were just talking about like day-to-day life, and her friend started talking about conspiracy theories. Oh yeah. And I was like, I thought she was joking at first. I literally did. She started talking about lizard people. I kid you not. She really did. And I like remembered hearing that before, but like I thought it was a joke.
I also thought people were joking.
I thought it was a joke. I was like, oh, that's so funny. But then she wasn't laughing. And my friend that I'd hung out with quite a bit, like she was not having a reaction like me to it. She was kind of like open to hearing about it. And I'm just like, oh, no. Oh, no.
I will say we are very open-minded ladies. I am not open-minded to what is the lizard? Like, it's people and lizard.
Don't even remember.
It's lizard people in, like, human skins.
Yeah, they think that, like, aliens are running our government and they're really lizard people, but they're in human skin. I cannot explain it. I really can't.
You know what? If you're a lizard person, I think you should actually put that in your Bumble bio.
I don't think there's any lizard people listening. I sure hope not. If you are, please explain it to me because I don't understand.
If you are a lizard person, please explain it in the comments or DM us.
Oh God. So we started talking about that a little bit, and then I was very uncomfortable. And we eventually talked about politics.
Oh no.
Which is not good. And yeah, I just knew right off the bat, me and this girl do not really vibe super well. But it's really what I learned most is that the friend that I had been spending most of the time with is maybe also not my cup of tea because she's friends with this girl.
I'm going to be honest. I think some people think this is controversial, but I really do think there is something to looking at the people in a new friend connection's life, because the people you keep around you, even if it's not friends, even if it's just family members or the people you work with or whatever, they say something about you. Honestly, it would be kind of a turnoff to me to see a new friend connection listen to the lizard people conspiracy with an open mind.
Oh yeah. So I was very uncomfortable. I did not know how to handle that because also we were out in the middle of the desert together and we still had many hours before we were going to get home.
Purposefully trapped you in the desert to convert you.
I'm not gonna lie, I was driving, so I felt some bit of security. I'm like, bro, if I gotta get away, I'm gonna just pump the gas and I'm gonna get us out of there.
Throw them out of the car.
I'm like, hey, would you mind pumping the gas? I feel like that was a good representation of what could have been.
Yeah, I think that's really good.
Anyway, but thankfully it didn't come to that.
Yeah.
But I was able to get us on a different topic, and we were still able to have a somewhat fun day, even after I realized the company I was in, and I was very scared. But also, we were just talking about, what we do in our day-to-day life. The one girl that she brought, hated the sound bath that we went to and, just wasn't really into it. But then literally as we're driving home, they're all like, oh, my God, we've got to link up again soon. We have got to make some plans.
Do
I was like, dear God, no, thank you. And so I ended up, because I'm a people pleaser, I kept in touch with this girl for
lizard girl?
Maybe a day or two after.
Okay.
I just felt bad.
Yeah.
And so then we ended up all linking up together on Halloween, and I was in a big group, so I was like, you know what? Hopefully the lizard part won't come out, and she can just do her own thing, and everything will be fine. But yeah, so we go and hang out, and it was fun. It's just the more I hung out with this friend of my friend, I'm just dude, you maybe have some issues about who you're keeping in your circle.
Yeah.
And we ended up having a conversation about this later on where I told her a little bit of how I felt about her friend, and she was like, oh my God, I feel the exact same way. And I was like, why are you introducing your new friend to this person if you already have concerns? And so I was very confused over that. And it was just red flags everywhere. I was just although we had a really good connection off tops, the girl who introduced me to the lizard girl, I was just if this is the company you keep, maybe I don't want to be in your company.
Yeah, you know what? I actually think that's kind of a really good point too, and something that I keep in mind. I'm gonna piggyback and segue.
I love how you said that. That's so nice.
I think if you're kind of feeling somebody out initially, if you're not sure if it's a friend connection or not, another good thing to look for, something that I check early on if I'm maybe yes, maybe no, is this sounds kind of weird, but do I admire them as a person, or are there any things in their life that I really respect or aspire to?
Yeah.
Do I think that we could raise each other up and level each other up? I've had people who initially I'm I'm not totally sure if this is a perfect vibe, but I noticed that they were really into reading, or they're really adventurous or outdoorsy or something that I kind of want to invite more of into my life. And so I'm okay, I think we could add things to each other.
I think that my advice would be spend a full day with somebody if you're feeling iffy on them, see how that goes, but also see if they want to introduce you to anybody in their life, because I think that can be very telling of what type of person they are. But then also it kind of goes back to that point of having open-ended conversations early on about what you're looking for in a friendship. Are you wanting more one-on-one connections, or are you wanting to accumulate a group of people that want to hang out and become a community in and of themselves? And And this girl was a good example of that. Like, she really wanted to bring her friends together and have like group hangouts. And so that was why I was open to it. I was just like, okay, yeah, let's do it. But then I realized like the company she keeps, and that just turned me off to it. And so long story short, I ended up like distancing myself after that from her, not because I really even think that that friendship is a direct reflection of her, but it reflects kind of her own issues with keeping people around, because she would rather have some iffy people around than nobody.
Yeah.
I think that that is a red flag, where it's just like, you know, like, I'm a huge proponent of the 3 closest people to you end up becoming who you are.
I love that.
So that's some advice I would give to you guys, of like, reflect on the 3 people that you spend the most time with. Like, are those people challenging you to grow? Are they bringing positive, you know, experiences into your life, or are they draining your energy and making you question, you know, your own lifestyle? Like, I think that can be really telling. One more story I want to tell you guys is about a girl that I only hung out with 2 times. And because, that last girl, I did spend quite a bit of time with her. And the way I ended up breaking that off was, like I said, I mean, I just distanced myself. I told her that I was pretty busy. I kind of stopped inviting her to things. And so it wasn't an explicit friend breakup, but I feel like after a while she got it.
Busyness, like after a few dates, like busyness, or like I've got some personal stuff to work out.
And I literally said that. I was just like, hey, I'm like going through kind of a hard time, so like I'm just gonna, you know, spend some time with myself. And eventually she stopped reaching out, and I was like, anyway, but another story is this girl that I met twice, and the first time I met her, I felt like there was potential. I didn't feel great chemistry off the bat, but I was like, okay, this girl embodies a lot of qualities that I don't really have. And so maybe this is a good person to have around, because she'll challenge me to grow in this way or that way. And like she was a perfect example of somebody who really wants to build like a large friend group. And so we connected on that, and I was like, cool, like maybe she'll introduce me to her friends, and like I'll find my people there. And so then we hung out a second time, and I'm not gonna lie, it took weeks to even set up the second hangout.
That's not good.
And I was just already like, maybe I'm pushing for something here that's just not here. And so anyway, we ended up getting together the second time, and it had been maybe like 3 weeks, and like we hung out, and it was as if we were meeting again for the very first time.
No.
Like, she just asked me some of the same questions she asked me the first time around, which I'm not gonna lie was like kind of a turn off. I'm just like, you even remember? Like,
I would literally be like, how fucking dare you?
But yeah, like I could just tell like she hangs out with a lot of people, and so maybe my hangout was not that memorable, which is hard to believe because I'm so memorable. Center of the universe. Okay, I'm gonna go now, fine. But yeah, and so I was a little hurt by that. I was like, damn, like she's just like reiterating all of her questions with the around. But she was like adamant about, oh my God, let's like set up some new plans. I like want you to meet my friends, blah 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 blah. And then she told me a lot of stories about her friends. And
like what?
I'm not gonna lie, like just people that are in mad like boy drama, and you know, aspiring actors, and like, you know, just people that are maybe struggling and a little bit toxic, but maybe are entertaining. And let me just say, some toxic people can be very entertaining for a time, but then maybe that toxicity will rub off on you eventually. And so yeah, she was just telling me all these like cringy stories about her friends, and I'm like, these are your friends? Like, these are the closest people to you that you want me to know about and eventually meet? Like, why are you telling me all of their cringiest stories?
Yeah.
And so anyway, I got a little scared by that, and I was just like, honestly, if that's the company you keep, again, I'm just not really feeling it. Like, that's not where I'm at. And so I ended up just like, I invited her to one other thing. She said that she couldn't make it. And then after that, I just never invited her to a thing again. And she actually invited me to something, like 2 different things after that. And I just said I was busy. And then it just petered out. And I felt like that was a pretty nice, clean break. You know, no harm done. Like, we did vibe for a little bit. Like, we still follow each other on Instagram and stuff. But it's just, it ain't a love connection. And that's fine. But anyway, so I really do think number one advice I'd give to you is just just distance yourself.
Yeah,
If you're not feeling it, no harm done. You don't have to feel bad. If they're consistently reaching out, like if you can tell they're like, no, don't let go of what we have.
They're writing you love songs.
Then I would maybe say something of just like, I just feel like I'm like not in a place right now to like give you consistent time.
Or just like, I really need to like focus on me or like work, whatever. I think in early stages, though, if somebody is like, if you're still in the first like few weeks or the first like 3 hangouts and somebody is like on your ass, not letting you go, that's honestly,
It's a red flag.
It's even more of a sign that you need to set that boundary, because that's a little bit too much of a thing. So I think distancing yourself.
Just distance yourself. Just become less available. And I think that it will peter out in a not so hurtful way. I would hope.
And if you really need to like cut it with some scissors, or if you're like me, because I have trouble with things petering, I kind of like things to be like door shut or door open, whatever.
So how do you handle that?
I do like the next time. Sometimes I go with one like, oh, I can't make it to that thing and hope they get in. But if that doesn't happen, I go with a pretty short, pretty quick, like, hey, I'm just really like, I'm going through some stuff, or I'm just like really busy with X thing or Y thing. I just don't have a ton of time right now. So sometimes I just leave it there, and sometimes I say like, I'll hit you back. Like, I will hit you back if time frees up. And that's a great way to make sure that they don't like keep coming back to you and checking in with you over the months if that's not what you want.
Agreed.
So I like to do one of those. I think it's pretty tasteful.
I think that's pretty tasteful too. I will say though, so how much time do you have you spent with somebody where you feel like they need more than that? Like you don't think it's like appropriate to just like phase them out, and like you feel like you need to maybe have like an in-person conversation or like a text conversation. Do you ever feel that way?
That's a good question, actually. I think, you know what, I'm like, I hate confrontations. I have trouble with the in-person combos.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm the exact opposite. I'm like,
she loves an in-person combo.
I do, because then I get the answers that I need and I can move on. And like, I have low-level anxiety at all times, and I'm sure you can see it from my YouTube videos where I'm tippity-tapping my feet. I can't stop moving.
Yeah,
that is kind of
you want to see a little free tap dance, go to our YouTube channel.
I'm not gonna lie, I grew up tap dancing. Maybe that's
Did you?
Yeah. Top dancing. It is a free show. You're welcome.
Okay, to answer your question, I think like once you get into the like couple months territory, like 4, 5, 6, or anywhere upwards of that, just completely like stopping talking to someone is a little like,
because like I've been in that position where somebody's done that to me, and I'm not gonna lie, like still to this day I'm like, what did I do wrong? And like I've seen mutual friends of mine who have been in relationships with friends for like years, and then they kind of just get ghosted at a certain point, and like those friends are like so hurt about it still to this day, because it's like getting broken up with, where there's no explanation. It's like, bro, like, we were fine 1 minute and now we're not. And so I do think after a couple months, I agree, like an in-person conversation or just maybe a phone call or something like that is warranted. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm still practicing this. Like I don't have a clear answer of like what that conversation should look like, but I can give some like tidbits of advice.
I think this is a hard thing. I actually just went through this recently with somebody where we had been friends for, I want to say like 4 or 5 months, like a decent amount of time. And I honestly, like, the reason that this girl made it like this far in my life and wasn't an early friend breakup is because, and this is something I think people need to watch out for, each time we hung out, it wasn't like not fun. Like we would talk, we didn't really have a ton in common, but we had like shared values and like a shared perspective about the world. But every time we hung out, it honestly, it's kind of like what you said. It felt like the first time again. Like it didn't feel like we were getting steadily closer. It felt like a plateau. And so eventually I was like, this just isn't what I'm looking for. Like I want to build something more. And I think sometimes the reason that you can't with people, even if you try, and we both were trying, is just a lack of chemistry.
And you can't force it.
You
like,
really
it's just not there. Like it is straight up just like dating. You know, if you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it.
But it was sticky because I think I think she was feeling it, or I think in actuality, I don't think she was feeling it, but I think she wanted friends more than like she was a little,
Yeah.
not more.
Also, let me just say, I feel like some people that I've met, I've been told this, is like certain people, when they've spent a few months with you, they feel like, well, I've already like invested all this time.
I actually think that's so real. Like it's a time investment thing. And I just got to a place where I was like, you know what? This is time investment that could be better served making other connections that would be more like beneficial to the both of us.
And you can keep like acquaintanceships for a really long time. That doesn't ever mean they're going to be your best friends if something doesn't change. And so like this is another thing like my mutual friends have complained about, is like having people in their lives for a really long time, but they never felt like it ever went deeper. And then this is like one of those relationships that ended up just like ending abruptly at some point, and like both parties are like, what the heck happened?
Yeah.
Like really, I think they were just forcing a connection for a really long time and not being honest with themselves that maybe it's not a good fit.
Yeah. I think that like handling it when you get in the like multiple month or like yearish territory, that's when it really gets sticky. I think if it's just genuinely not a fit, I think
I have some advice.
I actually was about to say, can you give advice? Because like on the one hand, I think there's value in being honest, but it's also hard to tell somebody.
There's a delicate way of doing it. I would not just say like, for instance, there's been a friend that I have had where I really liked her, but like I just did not feel like we are on the like emotional intelligence wavelength, you know? And I'm not saying she's not smart at all, but like her ability to think about her own life and like changes she wants to make and implement those changes, it's just different than mine. And so like it became kind of frustrating, like seeing her kind of run up against the same issues over and over and over again and not being able to reflect on why that's happening repeatedly. And I feel like my advice for these kind of situations is just like being open, and like maybe you link up, maybe you have a phone call, maybe it's a text, whatever feels right to you. But just saying like, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like I'm kind of moving into a new chapter of my life where I'm really wanting to focus on personal growth, or I'm really trying to focus on my career. I'm trying to focus on, you know, kind of getting in touch with myself. Like it could be any of these things, but just saying like, I'm moving into a new chapter of my life, and I don't know if this is the best relationship for that growth that I'm trying to work on. And that's nothing against you. I just feel like we're in different chapters of our lives, and like I don't want to subconsciously force you to be where I am, and I don't want you to feel like, you know, I'm just like switching up on you and the dynamic's just different now. I would approach it by just saying like, honestly, I just feel like I want to focus on this or that, and I don't know if like that's where you're at in your life, and so maybe it's a good thing for us both to just take a step back and like, you know, focus on the things that matter to us right now. Like obviously I still care about you, you know, like you could even say like, you know, I'd be down to like check back in a few months or something like that, but I do feel like there's some work I need to do on myself, and I don't know if like spending a lot of time together right now is gonna like be healthy for either of us.
I love that. I love like saying you're in a new chapter, and also saying like there's work that I need to do and I need some space to do it, like really making it about you. So that the other person doesn't feel like it's a condemnation of them or their personality. But I also think the beauty of doing it this way is that if you're like hanging out with somebody and, you know, like you said, maybe they're not like on the same emotional maturity level, or maybe there's something kind of missing that you wish was more present in the relationship. If you find a tasteful way of working that into like, hey, this is something I'm looking for in the new chapter of my life, if they're really passionate about that friendship, they can maybe be like, oh, okay, like, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Maybe I want to work on that. Like that girl, if that's really a love connection for you and her, she can hear what you said, reflect, and be like, oh, I'm going to work on this and come back to you.
Yes,
100%.
Developed. And like, you know, you could also respond to what I've said and say like, well, I don't feel like I would impede any of that. And so like, if that is like where you're moving in your life, like I want to support you through that. And like, I think that like we can make it work, you know, and I would be very open to that. Like I would, you know, in that situation, like if I am obviously approaching a friend breakup, that's probably my goal, is to take the break. But if that person is really, not feeling it, or like they want you to challenge yourself to not just like walk away from it, like I would just say, like, yeah, like I like really appreciate that, and like I'm gonna spend a little bit of time like on myself reflecting right now, but like as soon as I've done that, like I would love to just like check back in and like remind you that like the time we spent together, it really matters to me, but with where I'm at in my life right now, like I need this or that.
Totally.
I also think that there's maybe a situation people could be in where you've spent maybe 3 months with somebody, and like I don't know what it is that happened between you and that one girl where it like clicked in your mind that this is maybe not a long-term friendship.
I think I will say, and this is how I wound up handling that, it wasn't like one thing that just made me be like, okay, I'm done. It was actually that stuff genuinely was picking up in my life. Like I did get really busy with work and like some personal growth and whatever. And I realized that with less time on my hands, it just wasn't feeling like a priority to me or that was not feeling like a great use of my time. Yes. And so I was like, okay, well, if it's not feeling that way, then it's not right for me right now. And I basically just said that, but did what you were talking about and really made it like about me.
Yeah, because honestly, I feel like if you have spent months with somebody, like unless there is something explicit that happened that like really made you feel uncomfortable or like made you look at that relationship differently, in general, it probably is about you.
Yeah.
Changing your perspective on the relationship, changing your, goals for what you want in new friendships. And like maybe, throughout this whole process, let me just remind you guys, like you can be in a place in your life where you want to make a lot of new connections, you want new friendships, you really want to like try to be social, and that can wear off after a while.
Yeah.
Like you can decide later on, hey, I did that. It was really fun, but now I want to spend some more time with myself or my family or whoever it is. And like you should be an ever evolving person.
Yeah.
And like the best friends that you're going to make in your life are going to be like really receptive to that and really like, cheerlead their way through it. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but be like, your cheerleaders.
Okay. I think that's so real, and I think that's such good advice. I feel like now we should like talk about it from the other side of the coin. So if you get a message from somebody that's something like what you just said, where it's like, hey, I just don't feel like this is like so much the vibe in this new chapter of my life, how are you like interpreting that? Like because it does, I mean, we're talking a lot about how you go about friend breaking up with somebody, but it's also really hard to like receive a friend breakup.
Oh, yeah.
Like that hurts and it can feel a little bit demoralizing in the friend process. So how do you cope with that when you get broken up with?
I would say, I mean, everybody is different. It's going to hit home in different ways depending on who it is. But I would try to challenge you guys, if this ever happens to you, to, if you feel like you need some more closure after whatever it is that they say, like ask for that. Be like, hey, like, would you be open to like having a conversation about it in person, or like say something along the lines of, was there something that I did that like made you feel this way? Is there something that like I should be more mindful of going forward? Like, I think it's normal to maybe want some further explanation if this person is approaching you in the ways that we're describing. However, there are going to be situations when maybe they ghosted you. Maybe you just like feel completely gypped by them and like, hey, I spent all this time with you and now you're just gone out of my life. Like that sucks. And I think that there's a healthy way of approaching that where you say like, hey, like, I'm not gonna lie, like, I've been thinking about this and I'm just like wondering kind of where things went wrong for us.
Yeah.
Like, I felt like we had a really good connection and now it's feeling a lot more distant. Like, do you want to have a conversation about that, or are you just in a different chapter of your life now? Like, I think that that's a really healthy way of just trying to get some more information so you don't think it's just something I did, I'm the problem and they're just over me.
And I do think
it's never really gonna just be like that.
It's never just about you. I think that's like basically the advice I would give. I think you can take, like, if you're really feeling your feelings, take a moment to be sad. Like, you can treat it the same way as a real breakup.
Yeah.
Have a little pint of ice cream, do your thing. But I do think that using it as a learning experience is really valuable. And knowing that it's not, friend dating isn't the same as real dating. Like if somebody is not interested in you, it's not like a rejection of you as a person. It might just be some like
a rejection of the friendship dynamic, which is okay.
And which is so, like, people are so different. But I do think if you're curious or interested in taking it as a learning experience, a great way to approach the other person is, first of all, be gentle, like be really understanding so that they don't feel attacked or accused, because that can like kind of put people on the defense. But saying something like, hey, is there anything that I can learn going forward? Not like, oh, I'm trying to repair this friendship, but just stuff I could keep in mind. Or are you just in a new chapter of your life is a great phrase to use, because it makes them feel like you're not putting the blame on them and you're giving them space to say, hey, it was a me thing.
100%.
But you are like asking if you do need that closure, which I know some people really do.
Yeah. And also, you know, I think the best advice I can give you is if you have just been friend broken up with, or you suspect that that's, you know, about to happen.
That's on the horizon.
I would say try not to just blow up at them. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I've been in this situation before where it's like, I'm so hurt. Like, I want to talk it out, and maybe not in the best way. Like, I am really upset, and I want them to know I'm really upset.
Really?
And I'm actually kind of like this just in general. Like, I'm a person where an issue happens, and I really want to talk it through, like, immediately because I'm anxious. This situation has made me anxious, and, like, the only way that I feel like I'm gonna ease the anxiety is if I, like, come to some conclusion. You know, and I'm sure there's other people out there. If not, please tell me you're like that so I don't feel alone.
I actually will say I know there are other people. I think I'm like the opposite way. I'm like, if it's like confrontation or sticky, I kind of just want to put it away. But I do think I've had that happen to me from the flip side, where somebody asked me like, why aren't we like so much friends anymore? And I tried to go with a very like tasteful, like, I do think we're just at different points in our lives, and there are some value mismatches. And she was not happy.
Oh,
she sent me. Did I ever tell you this?
I never heard her response.
She was
like,
you
did that.
She sent me, and I was initially I was kind of just trying to do the tasteful, like, hey, I'm busy right now. But then she flat out asked me, and so I was like, okay, I owe you honesty and authenticity. Like, that's fine. And so I said, like, I think we're just at different points in our lives, and I'm sort of like looking for different things out of a friendship, which was true. She was really into like hard drugs and partying.
Whoa.
And I was not into hard drugs.
Know that.
Whoa. And she wrote back. I said that, and then she wrote back and was like, honestly, Finley, you're fake as fuck.
No,
I was like, no, I'm sorry.
But see, that's what I'm saying is, like, even if she feels that, which I have a feeling she doesn't really,
think
because
she was just hurt.
Yeah, why would you have been hanging out with me if you really feel that way?
And it was like, by the way, it wasn't just one like line. It was a whole paragraph. It was like, you're fake as fuck, and I don't want fakers like you in my life anymore. So, like, honestly, thank you. You did me a favor. Bye, ho.
Oh my God.
And I was like, okay.
I have to review that text later. I did not.
I'll like pull up my phone and screenshot.
But dude, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, please don't be that person.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like, if somebody's distancing themselves from you, like, it's their own issue. You know,
really is.
If you have been an, stellar friend to them the entire time, and you really feel like this is out of nowhere, like, what the fuck, then it's their loss.
Yeah.
You know, at the end of the day, if they're not vibing with it, then you know what? 'Tis what 'tis. You ain't gonna be in your life.
If you genuinely feel like you like yourself, like you like where your life is at, you think you've got good values, whatever, and you're happy with yourself, if someone's distancing themselves from you, that just means that those aren't shared values. Like, I'm not endorsing hard drugs and partying, but if that girl was really having fun with that, then there's no judgment from me that she was doing it. It just means I don't want to share it with you.
Yeah.
So go find other people to share it with
I've
you.
actually had that exact same situation where I hung out with somebody, I thought they were great, and then they told me they casually do drugs and go to raves and all this. And, like, I'm not gonna lie, in our age group for LA, it isn't that shocking.
No.
But that is just not something I vibe with. And so at the end of the day, that was like a turning point in that relationship where I'm like, okay, this is like probably not for me, because I don't want to judge you for the lifestyle you're living. And like, that's that's another point I want to make, where it's like, if you keep a friend around too long and you're genuinely just like not vibing with the way that they live their life, you can inevitably end up making them feel really judged. Because it's just not, those are not your values. That is like not what you like. But like, there's people out there that are going to appreciate them exactly how they are. And if you are a person who, you know, is happy with where you're at in life, you don't want to work on the things that, you know, your other friend is maybe highlighting as issues, like, that's fine. You know, you're not in a chapter of your life where like that's what you want to do. And like, I think that's a really, really good point to get to in a friendship, where you're like, hey, like, I'm not feeling good in this relationship anymore. I'm feeling like you want things from me that I'm not interested in working on or giving, and vice versa. Like, I think that that's like a key point of why it's necessary to have friend breakups, because otherwise you can inevitably just make each other feel like shit.
I completely agree. And I do think it is really important to just, when someone is friend breaking up with you, and especially if you've like asked them for feedback, just to handle it gracefully, not just for the sake of like that relationship and being kind and whatever, but also because honestly, like after I had that experience with that girl, it really put me off of telling people like why I didn't want to be their friend anymore, because I was like, I honestly don't want to get yelled at again. And I feel like it would be a good thing for us all as like a community of people trying to make friends, to just encourage more like openness and kindness and authenticity with each other, so we can be more upfront.
And guess what? People won't be fake to you if they feel comfortable telling you how they actually feel, whether it is good or bad. And like, I think like we all have to give each other the grace that we will change over time throughout our friendships. We will decide that different things matter more to us at different points in life. And like, if you care about that person as a person, not just as a friend, you should be open to that and like really just like celebrate whatever it is that they're pursuing in their lives, whether that is in line with what you're pursuing or not. You know? And so honestly, I really like that point of just like trying to create a community of people that just are really understanding of whatever chapter you are in and whatever it is that you are looking for in a friend.
Totally.
Anyway.
Beautifully said.
Thank you very much. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up for this week. I feel like this is a topic that I could low-key talk about for like 3 more episodes. So if you are at all interested in hearing more about it, let us know.
Please do. We really love hearing from you guys. And if you have anything else that you want to hear us talk about or any feedback for us, feel free to DM us on Instagram at Friend Seekers Anonymous, or leave a comment in our YouTube channel. We love engaging with you guys and seeing how our podcast is inspiring you to get out there and make some more friends, maybe.
It's been so fun talking to you guys this week, and we will see you next Wednesday.
We'll see you then.
Bye.
I just realized we were looking at this way too much. Get up. Back it 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 in. Back it in.